The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NFL Big 3 in 30. The three biggest stories in the NFL from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NFL Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in the NFL.
8 wins in a row, the best start since 2019. The Pats get the job done on Thursday Night Football.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast.
They just keep winning. They just keep winning. They just keep finding ways to win. Short week, coming off the road from Tampa. You get in late on Sunday night. Quick turnaround, right? You come in late Sunday night. You have to get ready for the football game coming up in just a couple of days. You've got to get your treatment. You've got to get the game plan. You've got to get right to work. A short week after a road game. And then you walk into Thursday night. And again, I know it's the Jets, but this is a divisional game. Divisional games are usually tough. This is the 11th straight football game the Patriots have played. They haven't had a bye. They won't have a bye until week 14. They've played now 11 straight games. Think about the physical toll, the mental toll. And then you've got a short week. You got to show up on Thursday night and try to win a physical football game. You're missing 4 key players: Austin Hooper, Ramondre Stevenson, Kayshon Boutte, Christian Ellis. And then on top of that, you lose Milton Williams early in this game. He came back for a series or so, but he was out for the vast majority of this game. Milton Williams has been by far your best defensive player this entire season. He has been by far your best defensive player over the past 4 or 5 weeks. It hasn't even been close. Milton Williams has been individually responsible for 6 or 7 impact plays every single week, and you lose him early in this game. But you just keep fighting. You just keep showing everybody how mentally tough you are. Adversity has not been a big deal to this team. And I think it starts at the top with Mike Vrabel. Remember when Mike Vrabel was introduced as the Patriots head coach? What did he say? Vrabel said a lot at that press conference, but one of the things that he said that stood out and everybody talked about was you've got to get to the point where you can take advantage of bad football. And that's what the Patriots did tonight. You don't have to be a perfect team if you take advantage of bad football. And the New York Jets gave you enough bad football that you could take advantage and walk away with a 13-point win. The Jets had a couple of crucial penalties. They had a couple of busted coverages. They had, of course, the bad snap, the turnover that hurt my prediction for tonight's game. I had it 23-13. It would have been 24-14 if not for that bad snap. But hey, couldn't care less. Patriots have now won 8 in a row. But they took advantage of bad football. Mike Vrabel has accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. And of course, this team can accomplish a lot more. But 11 games in at 9-2, first place in the AFC East, the best record in the NFL right now. He has accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. He has gotten to the point with this team that they can take advantage of bad football and they make you pay. Meanwhile, the Patriots, only 2 penalties tonight. 2 penalties for 20 yards. Remember at the beginning of the year where the Patriots were getting 7 penalties, 9 penalties, 10 penalties? And we talked about, they're winning games. They're still finding ways to win, but their discipline isn't great. They've got to get disciplined. They can't be, getting flagged 7, 8 times because that's going to come back and haunt them. Tonight, again, on a short week, going out there, and that means a lot because on a short week, when you're physically and mentally drained, that's kind of when you get lazy. That's when you get sloppy. And you would expect, that's why Thursday Night Football is usually a very sloppy game because teams are just mentally and physically fatigued. And they start grabbing guys. They start making mistakes. They start playing outside of their own brains and bodies. But tonight, on a short week, the Patriots were focused. It wasn't the prettiest game in the world, but that doesn't matter. 2 penalties for 20 yards. That's a really good job on a short week. They were disciplined against the trick play, right? The little wide receiver end around into the pass to the quarterback. all over it. Caleb Chason, fantastic discipline. How about the screen pass against Breece Hall? We talked about it during the crossover and how Breece Hall took a screen pass against Cleveland, 42 yards to the house for a touchdown. They try to throw the screen tonight. Jack Gibbons, who was really good against the screen game in Tampa, Jack Gibbons makes a fantastic play against Breece Hall for a 2-yard loss. Two flags for 20 yards. Discipline against the trick play. Discipline against the screen game. And we talked about the special teams, and you don't want to give the Jets any extra yards. You don't want to give them free yards. You don't want to give them any kind of free points, so to speak. Mike Vrabel talked about it on Monday with the media. He said, this special teams of the Jets is incredible. And he wasn't just blowing smoke. DVOA coming into week 11, DVOA has the Jets as the best special teams in the entire league. The Patriots disciplined on special teams. Their coverage tonight was fantastic, capped off by Brendan Schooler and Charles Woods late in this game, getting a punt return down at the 15 with a nice tackle. I mean, we are sitting here on November 14th, 12:12 a.m. Eastern Time, live on YouTube, Lockdown Patriots. We are sitting here talking about a team that has now won 8 straight games and is 9-2. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible by Mike Vrabel and company. I was thinking tonight watching this game as Drake May is just kind of calmly slicing and dicing the defense. Can you imagine how Drake May felt tonight walking into this game, looking at that Jets defense, looking at that Jets secondary after facing Cleveland, Atlanta, and Tampa? All 3 of those teams, top 15 in DVOA defense, some good defenses, tons of pressure, top-notch players like Myles Garrett. Drake May must have taken a huge deep breath and released it out and exhaled and said, I can do this. I can do this. I thought Drake May was great tonight. 25 of 34, 281 yards. He didn't throw for 350 and 4 touchdowns, but I thought he was great. 0 turnovers again, which is nice to see. He did have that one throw that was deep into double coverage that was a little bit dicey, but that football came out of his hand differently. It just looked weird. And when Amazon Prime showed the replay of that deep throw to Kyle Williams, it was a little bit of a duck. It just looked like it left his hand differently. I don't know what happened with that throw. There was a little bit too much air underneath it. He had Kyle Williams. But I mean, he was mostly tremendous tonight. Passer rating of over 100 again, 107.6. And it's every single week. It's every single week that he's just giving you elite plays. Second quarter, Patriots drive, because the first Jets drive took, it felt like 45 minutes. 3rd and 7, shotgun formation, hits Hunter Henry on a crossing route, 10 yards, move the chains. 2nd and 12, shotgun formation, empty set. That's the play where Drake May extends, finds Mac Hollins in the middle of the football field. No big deal on a 2nd and 12. 3rd quarter, Patriots offense, their second drive of the second half, 2nd and 8 under center, play action, extends the play, finds Stephon Diggs for a chunk play of 22 yards. 1st and 10, shotgun, play action, extends, finds Diggs for, 16, 17 yards. He's sitting there playing around with the sideline, improvisational skills through the roof. Kirk Herbstreit, Al Michaels, comparing Drake May to, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. I mean, come on now. Does it get any better? 3rd and 10, shotgun, 3rd quarter, 3rd drive in the second half for the Patriots. Drake May gets blitzed, finds Pop Douglas, crossing route against Jarvis Brownlee for 26 yards. Like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, 2nd and 12. It doesn't matter. He just keeps making plays. Now, real-time watching, I thought Drake May was mostly great in the pocket tonight. Showed poise, showed really good subtle movement inside the pocket, north, south, east, west, and didn't look rattled, did not look rattled, kept his eyes down the field. I mean, there's only so many things that you can say about this young man. I'm running out of adjectives. I'm running out of superlatives. I'm running out of bouquets to throw at his feet. He just continues to play great football. I don't want to say he's, Brady-esque, but my guy, Jeremy Underhill, says, do we have a count on how many beers were thrown at the Brady statue? Yes. How about Adrian, still awake at 6 in the morning in Austria? Shout out to Austria, going to work now, energized by the win. Get through work. Get through work. Get through work, my man. So, great job by Drake May yet again. Let's get to Travion Henderson, though. You don't win these last 2 games if it wasn't for Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson has helped you win the last 2. And what you're seeing is a rookie who's finding his legs. He's finding his sea legs. I talked about it through the first 7-8 weeks. You could always tell when the game is going a little too fast for a rookie running back, right? Because they tend to kind of run up the backs of their offensive linemen. They're just trying to just go straight ahead. They're not showing any patience. They're kind of scattered a little bit, and they're not allowing their blocks to get set up, and they just want to get the football and run like they're like shot out of a cannon. And you saw that from Travion Henderson a decent amount through the first 7 or 8 weeks. There was that impatience that happens to a lot of rookies. And I try to say and pound home the point of be patient with Travion Henderson. He's a really talented guy. He's a rookie. This stuff happens. You got to give him time to figure out the speed of the game. And it really feels like, going back 2 or 3 weeks ago, it really started before the Tampa game. The patience is now there, right? And you saw it tonight. The patience, the fact that he's not trying to outrun his offensive line. He's showing the patience. He's showing the explosiveness. He caught a couple of checkdowns tonight. Great job by Drake May to utilize the checkdown, which he hasn't always done consistently this year. He did that tonight. Fantastic job. Take the profit, get the yards where you can get them. Using Travion Henderson as a receiver out of the backfield. And, of course, the touchdown catch. Gets both feet in, backpedaling, 3 touchdowns.
The NFL season is rolling along, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for the weekend with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits how I like to bet in the moment. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
The Jets' loss to the Patriots on Thursday Night Football shows that the team's recent 2-game winning streak was a mirage.
You are Locked On Jets, your daily New York Jets podcast.
The Jets' Thursday Night Football loss to the New England Patriots. New England beat the Jets last night in a very workmanlike performance, 27-14. On today's show, we're going to talk about everything that went wrong for the Jets. The offense was once again pretty bad. We could be to the point where the Jets will make a quarterback change. The defense was just brutal. Guys who had been playing reasonably well did not show up. But we're going to begin by talking about the bigger picture implications of this game. And it's not that I want to let anybody off the hook. I don't. It's not that I want to make excuses. I don't. This was not a good performance by the New York Jets. But I do think we need to take a step back right now and think about where the New York Jets are as a football team. This is not a team that in any way could have been expected to go up to Foxborough and beat the Patriots on Thursday Night Football. And you heard on our crossover show yesterday with Nick of Locked On Patriots that the path for the Jets winning this game were things like, well, it's a short week and well, it's a divisional game. And in the NFL, anything can happen. I think everybody knows that if you put these two teams across from each other 10 times, New England's going to win most of the time. The Patriots probably win 7 to 8 times. The Jets were by no means expected to win this game. And that goes into where these teams are respectively. The Patriots, and it's unfortunate to say from a Jets perspective, are one of the best teams in the league. And the Jets are a team that once again is rebuilding. The Jets are a team with a long-term horizon. The Patriots' time seems to have arrived this season. And the Jets were a team that started from a pretty bad place and just traded away two of their best players a couple of weeks ago. And the Jets made those moves with the long term in mind. The Jets were trying to set themselves up for a better future. It very well might be that those trades that acquired the picks in exchange for Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner will help this team over the long run. But in the short run, these moves clearly hurt the team. There was no question about that. And I think it may have been tempting to draw conclusions when the Jets won 2 straight games, particularly the game last week against the Cleveland Browns without Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. And yes, there are some cases where, even if you lose talent, you don't become a worse team. The NFL is a league where it is a team game. And, sometimes the most talented team doesn't always win. But when you take 2 star players off a football team, you make the team worse. And we saw that in this game. I mean, the Jets could not cover anybody. Sauce Gardner would have come in handy. Quinnen Williams would have come in handy, considering the Jets had a lot of issues getting to Drake May. Drake May pretty much had all day to throw. The Jets pass rush did not show up. And, this is not excusing the guys who played poorly. We're going to get to them in a little bit. But I think it's important to understand where these teams are respectively. The Jets are where New England was 2 years ago. The Patriots are where the Jets hope they will be 2 years from now. And it's very, very frustrating if you're a New York Jets fan to watch the New England Patriots go from being a dynasty, falling to the bottom of the league, and then rising again to the top of the league in a span where the Jets are consistently at the bottom of the NFL. And it's not fun to watch a division rival have the success the New England Patriots have, particularly watching the Patriots develop a quality young quarterback in Drake May, who could be in the MVP discussion this year. And I'm very hesitant to anoint any young quarterback 2 years into his career. But what I will say is that Drake May has exactly the kind of trajectory you want. He has the kind of trajectory you want any quarterback the Jets draft over the next 2 years to have. The Jets are simply not there yet. This is not a team that's talented enough. And if you want to get mad at the Jets, get mad at the Jets for the decisions that they've made that have landed them at this place. And there's no simple explanation for how they got here. We know that all the ill-fated moves around the Rodgers years played a role in it. We know that the owner has a lot to do with it. We know that there are things that happened before that. We know that we've been in an era of 15 years of futility where the Jets have made mistake after mistake after mistake. And this current regime, this current head coach, this current GM, they aren't responsible for that. This is year one where they are trying to really turn things around. They're trying to start a new era of Jets football. And I think they knew going into the season it was going to be rough. Now, you never wanted to start 0-7. You didn't want to be 2-8 right now. But the good thing is that over the last couple of weeks, we have seen things start to stabilize a bit, where they're at least showing some signs that they know what they're doing. They're showing some signs that this is not going to be some sort of historic failure. That's very different from saying that the New York Jets have completely turned things around. And I think that if you believed that 2-game winning streak was a sign that everything was fixed and that the Jets were well on their way, this game should have been a wake-up call to you. But I don't think you ever should have viewed things in that way. This Jets team clearly has a very, very long-term trajectory right now. They clearly have a very, very long-term outlook. It's not about the here and now, because it can't be. We talked in Sunday or in Monday after the Jets beat the Cleveland Browns, and that performance against Cleveland was impressive from the standpoint that the Jets won a game, and wins are not easy to come by in the NFL. But that performance the Jets put in against Cleveland was probably good enough to beat maybe like 5 of the other 31 teams in the league. And the Jets just happened to be playing the Cleveland team, a Cleveland team that was one of those 5 teams. that effort the Jets put in against Cleveland was not going to be good enough against New England. And they went up to Foxborough and played worse than they did against Cleveland. And again, like, I'm not letting people off the hook. A little bit, we're going to get to the players who did not show up on defense. We're going to talk about the failures on offense. There were some really, really ugly moments in this game. There were some really, really ugly performances for the New York Jets. But before we got to any of that, I think it's really, really important to discuss the state of the team right now, because it would have been great for the Jets to go up there and beat the Patriots. It would have been great to get a win against our rivals in Foxborough. It just wasn't very realistic right now for where this football team is. This is a team that's rebuilding. And in a lot of ways, this team has been rebuilding for the last 15 years. So I know nobody wants to say it. Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit, they kind of laughed at this because they really summed up the absurdity well, where Jets fans need to be patient. Well, Jets fans have been nothing but patient. Jets fans have been the most patient fan base in the league. We've been waiting 15 years for a winner. And you could argue we've been waiting since 1969 for a winner, and we still haven't gotten it. But the way the team is built right now, I mean, it was going to be a very, very difficult task to go up to Foxborough and beat a Patriots team that unfortunately looks like it's a Super Bowl contender this year. Hopefully in a couple of years, the Jets will finally have a front office and a coaching staff that gets a rebuild right. And maybe in a couple of years, the Jets will play a Thursday night game against some other team, maybe the division rival Dolphins, who are at the beginning of their rebuild, and the Jets will beat them handily. And whoever hosts that team's podcast can give their fan base the speech that I'm giving Jets fans right now. But right now, the Jets are really far off. And that 2-game winning streak did not change it. The Jets made moves that very well could benefit them in the long run, but there clearly was a short-run hit. And that short-run hit came with a team that wasn't very good to begin with. So very important stuff to keep in mind as we dissect what went wrong in Foxborough this weekend. Now, I had you on the Locked On Jets podcast. Let's start talking about the guys who did not show up. It was a really bad defensive performance by the New York Jets.
The NFL season is rolling along, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for the weekend with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits how I like to bet in the moment. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
It's not just one of the games of the year for the NFC West. It's one of the games of the year for the NFL.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
First thing I want to say, Corbin, I can specifically remember the NFC West preview episode for Locked On. And everyone's talking about the Rams. Everyone's talking about the 49ers. People were talking about the Cardinals. And I don't think your Seahawks got the respect that they deserved. I think you remember what I'm talking about, right?
Hey, I was on that panel, and I remember telling everybody, hey, you can keep sleeping on these guys. I had a feeling. I didn't know they were going to be this potent on offense. I thought the defense was going to be good. But we're talking about, I was telling a few people this earlier today. This feels like when the 49ers and Seahawks in 2012 and 2013 were at the cream of the crop in the NFL, and they were battling each other. That's the magnitude of this game coming up here. 2-7-2 teams that are both top 5 in scoring offense and scoring defense. One offensive guru, one defensive mastermind coaching these two teams. You got quarterbacks that do a lot of the same things. I mean, they have some differences, but Stafford and Darnold have done so many things similarly this year in terms of how they are attacking and obliterating secondaries. I mean, this is just exactly like those 49ers Seahawks matchups were all those years ago. And I could see some animosity building in this matchup because of it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where you have to start is just how good both of these teams are. They're not just teams that are, these are the top teams in the NFC West. These are the top teams in the NFC. These are two of the very best teams in the National Football League. In fact, it will be just the 13th game since 2000 with the top two teams in DVOA. And not only that, if you go deeper, if you want to look at different metrics, Pro Football Focus, the Rams are the top graded team at 93.6 overall. The Seahawks second at 92.9 overall. We look at the offenses, the defenses, how balanced and complete both of these teams are. It's going to make for a great football game. And I think from a storyline from the Rams side, before we kind of get into the nitty gritty of this one, I think there's the emotional aspect, the personal aspect of Cooper Kupp returning to SoFi Stadium, because typically when a former great player leaves your organization to go to a new team, there's these warm and fuzzy feelings, right? He comes back and there's this big video montage, all the great moments, the hugging and dapping and great things like that. I think it's going to be a little different because of how meaningful this game is. I think the Rams are going to be like, okay, play the video. Let's get on with this football game. But tell me a little bit how Cooper Kupp has been for the Seahawks this year. What are you expecting from him in this one?
You know, a lot of people look at the stats and say, well, he's had kind of a quiet season, but he's really played well. He's got one drop the entire year. He had a 67-yard catch last week coming off a hamstring injury that kept him out the week before. So he showed he didn't have any ill effects from that. His run blocking still remains incredible. I think he's as good of a run blocking receiver as anybody in the league. And you also have to keep in mind that it's not that Sam Darnold hasn't been effective throwing the football. It's just Jackson Smith-Njigba has been so good that none of the other receivers have had to have like big volume and quantities in terms of what they've had to produce. So I think Cooper Kupp has played well. And it's, you know, I'm trying not to laugh at this comment. I know he didn't do it on purpose with what happened in the NFL over the last week, but I know when Coop was asked about this, about coming back yesterday in a tribute video and saying, well, I didn't die, basically saying, hey, I'm not expecting anything crazy here, but he's going to be looking at this like any other game. At least that's what he's saying. But you and I both know, Doug, there's no way that this is going to be just a normal game for Cooper Kupp. There's no way. Going back to where he played his entire career, now playing for his home state team that just happens to be a bitter rival, like there's no way. And the Rams maybe have some up their sleeve in terms of what they're going to do before the game, but like this is tricky. When like I remember when Richard Sherman came back to Seattle in a 49ers uniform, like you didn't have a bunch of montages playing on the screen about Richard Sherman coming back to Seattle for that, or Russell Wilson coming back in a Broncos uniform. None of the, you know, a lot of times that doesn't happen. So I'm curious to see if the Rams actually approach it with, well, hey, here's a light little tribute, or if it's just like, you're an enemy now. We're not doing anything. The crowd can cheer if they want, but that's going to be kind of interesting because I just don't know necessarily what to expect.
All great points, all interesting thoughts, Corbin. And I think that you make a really great point in that, yeah, they're going to want to just get to this football game and not want to lose their edge, right? And I think you look at this Rams team, this Rams organization, they've always been first class. And if it were like any other player, I would say, man, maybe they could just skim through it, gloss over it. But this is a guy who was a Super Bowl MVP. This is a guy that was so integral to their success. If you had to make that short list of the most important Rams since they returned to Los Angeles, he's on that list with guys like Aaron Donald, Sean McVay, and Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, right? It's a very, very short list. So he deserves to be celebrated. But I think here's this. The fact that this really isn't the dominating storyline that it could have been, it really is a testament to the Seahawks and a testament to the Rams that it's about just two really good, great football teams that are playing for a lot. And I think you mentioned Jackson Smith-Njigba. You mentioned some of the other elements. That's, I think, the overarching theme is that these are the top two teams, but also the top two receivers, Jackson Smith-Njigba and Puka Nacua. You can make a case the top two quarterbacks in a lot of respects, too, with Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold. And last year, Sam Darnold, he goes 0 for 2 against the Rams regular season and the playoffs. A lot of people thought, oh, maybe that was just a contract year, Darnold with the Vikings. Maybe he was not going to be able to have that success translate to his next team. But you look at the pass rating, look at the success that he's had. Has he exceeded expectations in Seattle? And how do you kind of neutralize him if you're the Rams? How do you think they kind of attack him a little bit?
Well, as far as neutralizing him, you gotta hope you can get your helmet on the football. Literally, that's been about the only thing that has stopped Sam Darnold this year. Has been just untimely throws that bounced off of guys' helmets. I had one against AJ Barner's helmet last game. When he's been able to get the ball out, though, without it bouncing off somebody's helmet, he's just been flat out ridiculous. And this is the stat that is most mind-blowing to me because Matthew Stafford has had a phenomenal season. And I'm sure that you would love to talk about Stafford, and we can have plenty of time to do that. But, like, There are the top 10 QBs for passing yards on deep balls this year, according to Pro Football Focus. 9 of those 10 have a completion percentage under 45%. Sam Darnold's completion percentage is 72%. Wow. That is just flat out ridiculous. And he's averaging 25.1 yards per attempt on those throws. Matthew Stafford's averaging 15.2. And Stafford's having an MVP season. That paints the picture of what Sam Darnold's been doing. Like, this dude has just been annihilating teams throwing the ball downfield. He's doing it inside the pocket, outside the pocket. It's like any quarterback. If you get pressure, then the Rams know that from getting to Darnold last year. But I feel like this year he's really improved at his pocket presence. He's really taken that next level in Clint Kubiak's offense. So that's going to be kind of a something's got to give type situation here, because the Rams are going to look to get after him. And Darnold's been sacked, I believe, 11 times the entire year. He's just been so good at getting the ball out. And that's what's amazing. Both these quarterbacks, as you get a test with Stafford, they take their shots regularly, but they also get the ball out as fast as anybody. You do those two things, it's pretty hard to stop an offense.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Sam Darnold has had a really, really awesome season. It's another homecoming for him, too. San Clemente kid, Dana Point kid, USC kid, a guy that grew up in Southern California. And you look at the passer rating that he's put up, a 116.5 pass rating. That's third in the league. That's right above Matthew Stafford at 114.8. Stafford is on a heater. I mean, 20 touchdowns and no interceptions in his last 6 games, 1,688 yards. He's got a 22 touchdown, no interception streak that he's got running. And as you point out, he's the leader in the clubhouse right now. He's the trendy name to be the MVP. So that's a big showdown too, because if you're Matthew Stafford and this success carries over, you have another 3 or 4 touchdown, no interception game, your MVP candidacy grows. If you're Sam Darnold and you're the Seahawks and you find a way to win this game, there's going to be some more buzz about Sam Darnold as well. So a very interesting subplot. The storylines are aplenty in this one. And in our next, it's unbelievable. This feels like a playoff like game. It really is. It really has like those playoff adjacent feels to it.